Hey, it's me, Nalthazar, and welcome to another Magic the Gathering Puzzle Quest video. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a Planeswalker showcase on Angrath the Flame Chained. Now, I've heard your guys' feedback. I know that you guys want more of these Planeswalker videos, so I'm going to be focusing on getting some of these up between now and Zendikar. I also want to make sure that I get up a few more videos for newer players. So hopefully I can get some of those up before we see Zendikar, along with a few more M21 videos. Now, Angrath the Flame Chained was on my dual color tier list in the A tier, and I believe very firmly that Angrath is still an A tier planeswalker. And for that matter, Angrath has never been stronger than he is right now. This planeswalker is very, very strong. The only thing that really is keeping Angrath back from being an S tier for me is actually that the Bolas planeswalkers exist that have the same colors as Angrath, but also have blue in their color identity. So what does Angrath do? Why do I think that Angrath is so incredibly good? So Angrath's abilities are Flaming Chain, Captain's Command, and Fiery Demise. The first ability, Flaming Chain, is going to deal 2 damage to your opponent. You find 2 treasures, and your opponent discards a card for 9 loyalty. Those treasures are going to be one shield supports that are on the battlefield. They're artifacts, and when those treasures are destroyed, you gain mana to a random card in your hand. Then there's Captain's Command, so gain control of target creature that costs 15 or less until end of turn. It gains haste, and this creature is destroyed at the end of the turn. I would absolutely love this ability if it wasn't restricted to creatures that are 15 or less, if it was just like any creature, but alas, that's not the case. And this is the ability that makes Angrath Angrath. This is the bread and butter of it. It's what makes Angrath such an utterly amazing planeswalker. So, Fiery Demise. You create a support with whenever a card enters your opponent's graveyard from anywhere, deal 6 damage to your opponent. Now, Angrath used to be a beast as a discard planeswalker, and so you'd run a bunch of discard outlets, and then you'd get Fiery Demise, and then with Fiery Demise out, your opponent would discard, and every time they discarded a card, they'd take 6 damage. But we have a significantly better mechanic now for doing that damage in the form of destroying your opponent's library. We have so many cards that destroy a bunch of things from our opponent's library that we can stack an incredible amount of damage with Fiery Demise. Angrath's mana bonuses are going to be +4 to red and black, +2 to blue, and then -1 to both green and yellow. So how would you go about building around Angrath? Well, there are a number of ways to build around Angrath, right? So if I were to go ahead and try to build around Angrath here, you'll actually see that I've got this deck right here, but you know, whatever. We're not going to use this deck. This was an event deck from a long time ago. The first thing that you're actually going to want to do is go ahead and type in Destroy Library. Now I'm going to limit this to the current standard sets at the time of my making this video, but whenever it is that you watch this, you just type in Destroy Library and see what you have. Now it's important, remember, Angrath's third ability is only going to be dealing that damage to your opponent for cards that are entering their graveyard, not yours. So you need things that destroy things from your opponent's library. So cards like Sir Conrad, which destroys the top 4 cards of each player's library on the activated gems, is an amazing card to throw into Angrath. Garuda, Doom of Depths, is probably my favorite card at the time of this recording to throw into Angrath, because Garuda is going to mill 8 cards, which means that every copy of Garuda that you get down is going to be dealing 8 times 6 damage for 48 damage to the face, not including the fact that you're getting an 8/8 beast. So just you play Garuda, and you're basically getting a 16 mana 8/8 that does 48 damage to your opponent, in addition to that, which is pretty awesome. You got Phenax. Phenax is going to let you destroy a lot of cards from your opponent's library. Now you'll see that like at first these are like rares, and there's a masterpiece here, and you're like, come on, Nalthazar, I don't have all that stuff. Well, now we get to the other things, right? You can run the Ashiok Vanguard, which is going to, for -1, destroy 4 cards and make things get more expensive. Or we can even work our way over to the common uncommon side and start taking a look at some other things like Eye Collector. So Eye Collector is a 2/2 for 7 with whenever this creature deals combat damage, destroy the top 4 cards of each player's library. which means that if you've got your third ability down, this thing is swinging for whatever its power toughness is, plus 24 damage. And then if you find a way to give this thing double strike, it's actually swinging for whatever its power toughness is, plus 48 damage. And this is whenever it deals combat damage, not just to your opponent's Planeswalker. So it's just going to do that damage with that third ability down, which is super, super powerful. You can get some crazy damage going with Eye Collector and Angrath. Now, there are a lot of different other effects and abilities in the game that are going to let you destroy things from your library, but that would be my first suggestion for you. My next suggestion, and this is going to be dependent on when you actually go about making Angrath, right? So you put in your destroy library card. So let's go ahead and say that I'm going to make an Angrath deck right now, right? So I'm going to go ahead and throw Garuda. I'm going to throw in Sir Conrad. I'm going to go ahead and throw in Fenax. There you are, Fenax. And then I'm going to go ahead and throw in Eye Collector, right? And then for your mana base, if you have it, the absolute end-all, be-all, best thing that you can put in Angrath is Whirlwind of Thought. Whirlwind of Thought is going to make it so that you gain a ton of loyalty. That's going to get you to your third ability really quickly. If you don't have Whirlwind of Thought, don't worry. I'm actually going to wind up showing you guys 2 decks that I've made with Angrath in this video, and you're going to get to see them absolutely mac down on my opponents. Like, these are like 3.5 minute matches for like really, really, really easy decks. So the second option you have is to go with gates, right? Gates are incredibly powerful, and since Angrath has mana bonuses to 3 colors, red, black, and blue, you just go ahead and go red, black, and red, blue, and blue, black, right? So you put in the 3 gates that it has mana bonus colors for, and then you need removal, right? Removal is essential to any deck. So let's go ahead and just use some uncommon removal, right? So we're going to go ahead, throw in Destroy. We're going to throw in Death Sprout because it destroys a creature and fetches a gate. And then we're also going to go ahead and throw in Demolish because it can destroy any support. Now, if you run something like this, I guarantee that you'll be able to mac down on your opponent like crazy. Now, this is just a rough template. It's a rough sketch. There are definitely better ways to build Angrath, and so you're going to see some of those in my gameplay. But just if you're trying to figure out like how do I build around Angrath, use destroy library cards, things that convert a heck of a lot of gems like gates, and if you have it, Whirlwind of Thought. You get to that third ability, you basically win the game. It's that strong. So let's go ahead and cut on over to that gameplay and show you guys some decks that I made for you. Now, this first match here against Garruk, you can see that the deck is very similar to the deck that I built at the beginning of this video. Now, I'm going to go ahead and freeze down these gates really fast. I know that I've got a 5 match. Gates come in with 2 shields, which is not a lot, so I definitely don't want to start pinging them early. But the basic theme behind this deck is very similar to the one that I made at the beginning. It's just with the difference that I tried to make this a little bit easier for you guys to build, right? So this is my like easy time deck for Angrath. So if you can't build the next deck that I'm going to show you, that's like my super crazy Angrath deck, you can build this one, and in this gameplay, you're going to see just how incredibly effective this deck is. So we've got 2 gates down. Gates are going to convert gems really quickly. It's going to help us get to our third pretty quickly, which we absolutely want. We've got Sir Conrad in hand, which is great. We absolutely want Sir Conrad down. Drawing that Ashiok Vanguard there is pretty fantastic too. Part of why we want that Sir Conrad down so quickly is, remember, Sir Conrad is going to activate 3 black gems, and ooh, I want that bottom red into loyalty, but Garruk is being a jerk, so it's not going to happen. Now you're going to see I actually move the Dimir Guildgate up, even though I have enough mana to play Sir Conrad here. That's just because I don't have my third ability yet, and I want to have as much gem conversion as possible. Now I do get lucky. I do get that black cascade there. It does let me get Sir Conrad down. And so here I'm hoping that at the beginning of my turn, I'll get enough gem conversion from my gates to get my third ability. And that's exactly what happens. So we get that. We draw a bad deal, which is pretty good. We're going to go ahead and use that third ability, Fiery Demise. It's that 4 shield support that just came down. And on the right side, you're going to see 2 activated black gems. I'm going to go ahead and match them, and look at how much damage Garruk takes for us milling those 8 cards. Now, Sir Conrad is doing 1 damage for every creature that enters the graveyard, But on top of that, like, look at that. Look at how much damage we just chunked out of Garruk for that. Just absolutely ridiculous. And then Sir Conrad kills the giant, and so in killing the giant, Garruk is going to take another 6 damage, which means that this is pretty well an easy game over. You'll see that Sir Conrad just went and activated those 2 black gems, which is pretty great. I'm going to use Ashiok's minus ability to ping Garruk a little bit more. And that's all she wrote for this deck. Like, look, it's just a melt machine, guys. Total melt machine. Goodbye, Garruk. Nice knowing you. Yeah, salute for the 6-pack. So this match is super sweet. We get paired up against another Angrath, which is awesome. I love that. And so this, as you can now see on the left for the deck, this is my bringing the big guns over with Angrath, right? So here's where you get to see Angrath with all of like the crazy cards, right? If you've got all the different things that you can throw in, I'm running Whirlwind of Thought. You'll see that I'm only running 1 creature with Garuda, and that's because Killer Instinct is going to guaranteed fetch Garuda here, which means that Garuda is going to be coming in for 48 damage to the face with the 3rd ability, and then not only is Garuda going to be coming in for 48 to the face with the 3rd, but Garuda is also going to then be swinging for another 8, which means that Garuda is actually doing 56 damage every single turn, assuming I'm not getting any others. And so you'll get to see just how lethal Garuda is with Angrath in this deck. So my opponent playing the Blood Operative is kind of a best case scenario here because it means that I can actually use the Death Sprout in my hand. And in getting to use that Death Sprout, that means that I can get a land out of it. And I absolutely want the land. I'd like to get loyalty, and I'd like to get the land out, right? Because ultimately, we want to get to our 3rd ability. Now, I'm going to go ahead and try and go for the maximum cascade opportunity. I do get said maximum cascade, which is fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and destroy that Blood Operative, which gives me another gate, which means that I'm going to be converting more gems. And now, as long as I can get to my 3rd ability pretty quickly, I'm going to be sitting pretty because I've got 2 Garudas in hand. I'm actually going to go ahead and take that Izzet Guildgate. I'm just trying to tap on it here, but it is being elusive. And I'm going to go ahead and play it. I've got a loyalty into red match on the bottom left, so that's definitely going to help me get to my 3rd ability pretty darn quick. That does get me to the 3rd ability, which is good. So if you don't remember from earlier in the match, I do have Fenax down. I've also got 2 Garudas with full mana in my hand. I'm going to be able to get 3 mana like nobody's business. And that means I'm going to be getting 2 Garudas plus a Fenax, and that is game over. Keep in mind, this Angrath that I'm up against is Angrath, and Angrath has the highest health total of any Planeswalker in the game, and I'm going to be killing him in 1 turn with this. Just my 3rd ability, milling all the cards. So if you haven't dusted off Angrath, regardless of what your collection size is, if you have this Planeswalker, go ahead and give him a shot. He's really, really strong, especially right now. Just an absolute beast of a Planeswalker. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.